Hey guys, welcome. It's Carly Schroeder here, functional nutrition coach and your fertility coach. Today, we're going to be covering the topic of gut dysbiosis, talking about what it is and what are the signs and symptoms that you're actually experiencing in your body on a daily basis that could be giving you the insight that this is actually affecting you. So, first off, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to dive into these topics as our gut health, ties back into our reproductive health and our fertility journey. So, what is gut dysbiosis? Gut dysbiosis is when there is an imbalance in the bacteria in our GI tract. So, there are good bacteria in there, and there are also bad bacteria. And when there is an imbalance, then you would experience some of these signs and symptoms. Some of these include digestive issues. So if you're having trouble going to the bathroom, you're noticing that you're having constipation, small, not well formed elimination, you're going to be swinging between either constipation or ploppy, not well formed, messy diarrhea. This is a sign of gut dysbiosis. If you have foul smelling gas, or if you just have issues and you're not eliminating often enough, if you're not going to the bathroom at least every time that you're eating, then you are likely backed up. It's mind-blowing when people tell me that they go to the bathroom thinking that they're eliminating regularly, and I find out they go one time a day or maybe one time every other day. That is not enough. If you're eating 3 to 5 day meals, then you should be eliminating just as often. That's a sign of a good digestive tract. And these poops should be well-formed stools that are shaped like the shape of our colon, and it should be a full elimination, meaning you shouldn't still feel like you need to go afterwards. So digestive issues is directly tied to the health of our gut. Immune response. Most of our immune cells are actually made in the gut. So if you are feeling not your best, or you seem to get infections all the time or catch other people's illnesses, this is a sign that your digestive tract needs some help. Probiotics, prebiotics, fermented foods, increasing the exposure to different bacteria and people is actually helpful for us to actually heal our immune system. Metabolic issues, such as having a difficulty losing weight. So if we can't lose weight, even though you're trying and you're legitimately cutting out processed foods and being more mindful and walking and taking care of your stress levels, and weight is still not coming off, then this is actually linked to the gut. Or it could be that all of a sudden you start gaining weight and you're not really sure why. You haven't really changed much in the diet, and all of a sudden you see this shift. This brings me back to the main host. Yes, our mind, yes, our body, our stress levels, but once we've cleared that and you're in a state where you're taking care of these and we're still having troubles losing weight, then I'm looking back at our gut health. Other signs is skin. So when you start having acne, psoriasis, eczema, the body is actually eliminating toxins through our largest organ, which is the skins. And so you will see flare-ups through these different skin issues when really it's because of the balance in the gut. Mental state. So this is anxiety, depression, and even brain fog. So just not feeling like you're all there, feeling like you can't necessarily form your thoughts. So many people are experiencing brain fog right now, or the lack of clarity in their mind. And when we get down to it and we start looking at the food that we're eating, if we're eating that standard American diet, the SAD diet, these processed foods are not actually feeding the good bacteria that is so imperative for our body to function at its best. So we need to be eating foods that are rich in fiber, fruits and vegetables. And so we're avoiding having nutrition deficiencies and feeding the body everything that it needs. In this day and age, we're eating ample amount of calories, but we're all at seeing that people have a malnutrition. So it's all the calories without the nutrients. When we start to cut out these processed foods and we start to add in a bunch of fiber and a lot of vitamins and minerals, then you start to see these issues start to go away as we feed the microbiome the foods that it actually needs to thrive and diversify the environment. And lastly, well-being. So I see fatigue, even for women, PMS is huge, having extreme cramping, back pain, brain fog, the whole thing. The mood changes a lot. The big swings actually will adjust and affect our menstruation. Our menstruation gives us so much information about our health. It is the fifth vital sign. So beyond our temperatures and beyond our blood pressure, our menstruation and the regularity is actually a sign about our health and fertility. So fatigue, PMS, headaches are all signs that you might be experiencing. And if this is an ongoing thing that keeps happening, it's a time to look inward at the gut and start to repair. So what are some of the things that you can do to repair and help to fix, balance the microbes in your gut and take care of your microbiome? You start small, and we have to start to implement and take out some of the trash that's in the diet. So yes, there's environmental factors considering all things. Also, genetics come into play. How you were born into this world comes into play. But what you can do now in this present moment is decreasing stress, finding ways to chill out, to relax, to drop into yourself, as stress is actually a main cause of a lot of dis-ease in our bodies and in our system and in our world today. Then beyond that, focusing on using food as our medicine. And what does that look like to you, to start to use food as your medicine? For me, that's having this mamaki tree right outside my door so I can go out and pick and eat it fresh, or make a tea for myself and my family. It's growing fresh herb, ginger, and turmeric from the earth. We're using these spices and fruits and vegetables to heal our body, to heal inflammation. So if you feel that inflammatory body aches in the body, adding in some of these things, ginger and turmeric, garlic into the body, all these have powerful antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties in the body. So the food and what we eat, eating more fiber, eating a more colorful plate, and being intentional to use the food as medicine. And also using our exercise, moving our bodies. Our body actually starts to develop little adhesions where it doesn't move as well just from one night's sleep. So being mindful first thing in the morning to wake up, to stretch, to do some yoga, to breathe, to bring you back into this present body. First thing in the morning when we wake up, our hormone levels shoot up with cortisol. Cortisol, in this case, is a really bad rep, but it is necessary for us to be motivated to wake up and carry on throughout the day. So with that burst of cortisol, use it to move your body. Use that energy to start to move and get yourself active, and then carry that out. It actually helps you drop in and be less stressed and be able to hang and feel better throughout the rest of the day when we're using that cortisol in a productive way. Here are a few tips for you guys to take home. If you are experiencing some of these signs and symptoms, then start to take care of the digestive tract. And if you want to see more videos like this, diving in deeper, then go ahead and click on this video here. It's going to give you more information about how to heal the dysbiosis and how to feed the microbiome. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you in the next video. let's dive into some of the causes in more detail so you can have a better understanding about what you're doing in your everyday life that could be impacting your gut for the negative, and start to think about ways to give your body the nutrition and heal the microbiome. So, starting with the first cause, which is our sad diet. So, the standard American diet consists of high in sugar, low in fiber, not enough nutrition. When we look at eating for our health, for our gut, and for vitality and health, then we need to be consuming an ample amount of fruits and vegetables and taking out the processed food. If you guys made this small change and started eating one vegetable at breakfast time, two at lunch, three veggies at dinner time, and you made it be a diverse variety, just by making that change and increasing the amount of vegetables you're consuming, you'll see that you're crowding out and you won't have space for some of that other processed food that's not actually filling your body with the nutrition that you need. Being mindful to drink water instead of sugary drinks that have no nutritional value but are high in calories, and cutting out any types of food that you're eating that causes more cravings. So, typically, carby foods such as cakes, cookies, breads that are low in fiber, low in nutrition actually increase your cravings, make you want more, but are not giving you quality nutrition that actually help you thrive. So, the poor diet is one of the causes for the gut dysbiosis. The next I want to talk about is antibiotic use. Antibiotics are now prescribed for things such as viral infections that really cannot get better with the use of antibiotics, but doctors will prescribe it just in case it were to progress. Oftentimes, people are using antibiotics and thinking that it's not going to have a long term impact on their gut health. The problem with antibiotics is, I want you to think of a bathtub of water. And I want you to imagine this entire tub being filled up. Our microbiome is a host, a diverse variety of different bacteria. And when we take antibiotics, it wipes out the good bacteria in the gut and actually all of the bad bacteria. So imagine draining out all the water. So there's nothing left in this tub. So all the good guys are gone and all the bad guys are gone. This leads to a problem. Usually it leads to more infections after you take an antibiotic, or it can be all those other common symptoms that I had just listed. You'll see more of that, more digestive distress, more anxiety, depression, brain fog. All those things start coming up after an antibiotic use, especially if you're taking them frequently. I have one client who was given acne medication for years on end, and the antibiotic use was every month for 3 months in a row, and they had to keep switching it out. Her acne started getting worse. She had worse and worse GI tract issues, problems with the bathroom, problems with an elimination, and it just kept leading into other areas of her life. And it was because of this chronic use of antibiotics. Now, some people think, okay, well, I took an antibiotic, so what I'm going to do is add a probiotic to my day. There's my probiotic. So, the probiotic, the diversity of that is like adding 1 cup back into the tub, hoping that it's going to fill and replenish this diverse ecosystem that lies in the digestive tract. When it would take hundreds and hundreds of cups to refill this bathtub, to refill and get that diverse environment that's meant to support us and prevent this infection and immune responses in the body. So this is why antibiotic use should be minimal, and last case scenario. We want to be able to try to fight off and ward off infections without antibiotics as much as possible. And if it's necessary for healing, then of course that might be the only route, but first try the other options first. Chronic stress. Chronic stress impacts the body in so many ways. When we are frazzled and uneasy, the body has super heightened levels of cortisol. And I mentioned this before in this video. Yes, we naturally have cortisol that's released in the mornings just so we have the ability to wake up and be productive throughout the day. But when we have heightened levels of cortisol all day long, our body never actually drops in to the rest and digest part. If we're constantly in this state of stress, our body is having to decide to be in this state of flight, to like run away from a saber-toothed tiger. It's that is level where the blood is shunted away from the digestive tract and into the cells, and instead of being relaxed into your body where the digestion can take place. So it's really important when we're not um, in life-threatening conditions to do the best to relax, to do breath work, to do yoga, to get ourselves to calm states, because our body doesn't really have a thermometer gauge of how important it is to run. Instead, our body sees it like this: there is something that is threatening us, and we don't know all if it's a tiger that we're about to die, or if it's our boss or our mother-in-law or whatever it is who's calling us to have a conversation with us on the phone. It responds in the same way. It goes from that rest and digest phase into the parasympathetic, from 0 to 100, and your body is just in a super heightened state. So we want to do our best to allow spaces and places and most of our day to come in the state of relaxation to avoid the disruption of the microbiome. Infections. Infections can lead to gut issues as well. This is if you're traveling abroad or exposure to different viruses, it definitely changes the microbiome. And also, at the same time, it is necessary for us to continue to be exposed to different people. It increases our immunity. So, yes, while you might have some signs and symptoms of runny nose, a stomach ache, a fever, our body is actually building up the immune system as we're exposed to these things. Lack of sleep. Our sleep needs to be from 7 to 9 hours regularly, routine, and it needs to be in a state where we can drop into the different cycles of our sleep. If you are waking constantly or consistently, and it's at similar times, make note of that, because that's your body actually telling you that some of the systems might be out of balance. For example, for some of my people, they're waking consistently in the hours of 1 to 3. Then I know, let's look into the production of melatonin. If the body isn't producing enough melatonin at night, you may see this as a common waking hour. And so leaning into that and recognizing the patterns or why you're waking can help us understand, is this a blood sugar imbalance? Is this not enough melatonin secretion? Are we using screens at nighttime that's preventing us from dropping into that deep REM sleep? Or are we experiencing some insomnia, some anxiety that's helping prevent you from fall asleep and waking you up middle of the night and waking you up before the alarm goes off? If that's the case, again, that ties back into the gut health, because that dysbiosis in the gut actually impacts our ability to sleep and get a quality amount of sleep. These arrows all go both ways, meaning that one affects the other and it goes vice versa. Sedentary lifestyle. So movement is so essential for our bodies. Our bodies actually get better the more we move them. We get stronger, get the release of the endorphins in our body. It actually helps relax us. It actually helps decrease the stress. So using movement actually helps. More on that with our environmental concerns. So exposure to different chemicals and heavy metals all have a negative impact. And this is why it's really important to be mindful about what we're putting on our skin. What types of food we're eating. Is it exposed to different types of sprays, such as pesticides? Then we want to make sure that we're not eating that. All of these harmful chemicals impact the gut lining. Infections. So our exposure to different viruses and bacteria can have a negative impact on the gut over time, and it also at the same time, exposure to different viruses actually helps increase our immunity. So if it's in small doses and you have a healthy microbiome, then it is no trouble, no problem whatsoever to be exposed to these different things. It's really when we are already in a state of dysbiosis that it's more harmful. Aging. There is a natural process that happens with aging, and over time, it affects the ability to ward off infections. So this is why it's so important as we increase our age, like we all are every single day, to be more mindful about feeding the healthy microbes within us. Hormonal changes. This happens usually with pregnancy, that we start to see changes, and also through menopause. All of these times, these different phases through our life can have an impact on the microbiome as there's different hormones being secreted through the body at those times. And poor dental hygiene. At this point, like the different foods or having poor hygiene, the bacteria in the mouth can then obviously be swallowed and ingested and get into the digestive tract. So it's important to be making sure to take your oral health seriously, using water picks to make sure that we're clearing out between the teeth, because a lot of the actual viruses and bugs get in the gums, in which we can't really get to with the brush. So using a water pick, also brushing, and making sure that we're not eating foods that are sugary or starchy or gluey. That's why gluten and sugar is just absolutely taken out of the diet, so it's not building up and forming cavities or problems in the teeth. Dietary changes. So when we have rapid changes in our diet, it also impacts the gut. So I have some people who will jump into a vegan diet, then jump into ketogenic, eating a lot more fat. And so these different changes in the diet overall will impact the microbiome. Alcohol consumption. This actually makes it so more of the harmful bacteria are at play, and so that impacts the microbiome. In addition to smoking, more of the harmful bacteria are able to grow in those conditions, because both of these responses, both alcohol and smoking, causes more inflammation in the body. Proton pumps and antacids. These actually reduce the stomach acid. And so the stomach acid is so important for breaking down the food in our stomach. And over time, even eating sugary foods reduces the stomach acid, so you'll have more symptoms like acid reflux. And that's a sign that we actually need more acid. So consuming HCl and also, what's it called, apple cider vinegar. That's the time to use those to actually increase the stomach acid, which is so important for breaking down the food that we're eating. Non-inflammatory NSAIDs. Can't think of the whole world if we're in there. NSAIDs are your temporary pain relievers, like Tylenol and Advil. It actually starts to eat at the gut lining, so it becomes more permeable over time. And that has an impact with, where you'll have signs and symptoms of leaky gut. And over time, then those substances are leaking into the bloodstream, causing a lot more inflammation. And a whole host of signs and symptoms that you don't want to experience that we talked about in the first part of this video. And then birth control. Birth control has a huge effect. It just shifts the hormones as well. I would say that really is interlinked with the hormonal changes and how that impacts the body. Steroids is another one. This is given for various different medical conditions, and it actually suppresses the immune response. That has an impact on the gut. Chemotherapy, also, while killing off these cells that are dividing, multiplying, chemotherapy also wipes out important healthy bacteria in the gut. Much like our antibiotics do, it wipes out both the bad and the good. Artificial sweeteners can have an impact on the lining. This is one of the topics that are heavily processed and, I would say, argued in the fitness world, as we rely more on diet type foods that are low calorie. but also have not had enough research to really show its impact on the gut and the brain access, and how we're breaking down this food and the perceived level of sweetness. And so avoiding these, if not altogether, or using them minimally in your diet. Too much sugar and fat in the diet. So that's part of our processed food. We're replacing the nutrition, the fibrous foods, the healthy foods, for it to be shelf stable by adding in sugar. And if there's no sugar into it, then you'll see that there's added in some types of inflammatory processed fats. So we want to make sure when we're eating these things, when we're eating fat, it's coming from sources that are actually valuable and helpful to the body, such as our avocados or our coconut oils, where it's actually really good for our body to have that, and it's essential. But getting away from the seed oils, getting away from the processed oils, and eating more of these natural components, these natural nutrients in its form, like from the environment, from the world that we live in. Even sugar, having it coming from natural sources like our dates or our fruit, rather than beet sugar that's highly processed and bleached. And then not having enough fiber. And that fibrous is so important for making sure that we're feeling full, and also helps move the stool along through the system so it doesn't get backed up. All of these are some of the causes of this dysbiosis. So take one, maybe two of these things, and focus on it. Let me see if I can start to replace some of these things with an alternative. Maybe I can start to add in fiber. Maybe I can start to add in exercise. When you take one or two of these areas and start to focus on it, you are helping regrow and host and help the microbes in your body, as it is more than our human genome that we carry in our microbiome, the different variety of microbes. So let's feed them well with healthy nutrition. Let's take care of our body. And if you like this video and you want to see more, be sure to click on this video, as it's going to talk more about gut health. If you really are looking at conceiving naturally and increasing your fertility, it is a closely linked to our overall wellness, then you're going to want to join my community on school.com/rootsfree. There you're going to have access to hours of free content and joining in with a community that's more than just a community, but a family supporting each other. I'm so grateful for you joining. We'll check in next time.